Thank you very much. So, yeah, first of all, I would like to apologize for our CEO, Mr. Hugh Rogers, who would like to attend this meeting, but couldn't, unfortunately. So I would take over and would like to thank you for the opportunity of presenting BioNxt Solutions. And I think you made a very good introduction on what you're doing. Like maybe a few words to myself. I'm the COO of Vector Pharma TF, which is a 100% subsidiary of BioNxt Solutions. So yeah, I would today like to give you a short overview on who we are, what we're doing, elaborate a little bit on the, let's say, three pillars that the company is based on, which is, as you said before, which is drug formulation, which is psychedelic medicines, or more like psychedelic drug synthesis, and a big field also rapid diagnostics. And in the end, I would like to introduce a little bit to our team and the markets we're working in. So the company itself was founded as X-Phyto in 2017 in Canada, and is still headquartered in Canada, as you can see on the right-hand side, but made in Germany. It means that most of the operational business is really taking place in Germany. I already said that we're based on three pillars. So we are following three branches. Like the first thing is the drug formulation, which is, and there's actually also three companies that are involved in that, which are all 100% subsidiaries and daughter companies of BioNxt Solutions. The drug formulation is done mainly by Vector Pharma TF, and they are since 2009 active in the field of thin film platform technology, means transdermal delivery and the manufacturing and development of oral dissolvable film strips in all kinds of ways, from generic to innovative products. I will focus on that a little more when I come to the drug formulation part. The second part is rapid diagnostics done by the 3A Diagnostics, which was acquired by BioNxt in 2019, which is a startup, or was a startup out of a German university, which has a proprietary, really innovative methodology developed with their biosensors to detect infectious diseases and oral health without any equipment, without any healthcare experts. You could just do it by yourself, and that's a really interesting way, a new way of diagnosing diseases. The third part, what we are very active in, is psychedelic medicine, and as I said, more like API synthesis, so active pharmaceutical drug synthesis. So we are also active in developing processes for biotechnology as well as synthetic for psychedelic drugs, and working on the scale up and later on the GMP compliant manufacturing of them. Now you can ask yourself, how do these three things like psychedelics, diagnostics, and drug formulation fit together? I mean, you can see it on that slide. They fit together very well, because the rapid diagnostics, the biosensors that were developed by 3A, of course, need a platform to be administered to the body. And here comes the drug formulation expertise of Vector Pharma with their thin film technology as a dosage form into play. And so this gives us formulations for our oral biosensors. The same is actually true for the psychedelic drugs, for the APIs that we are developing and we are producing in the future. Of course, they also need a basis, a dosage form, and we think that the oral thin film technology has many advantages for delivering these psychedelic APIs. So if I come to the drug formulation part, so the part that Vector Pharma TF is mainly involved in, I would like to give you more insight into what the thin film technology is, because I think not everybody is really completely aware of these technologies of these dosage forms, of these pharmaceutical dosage forms. So two things that are in this thin film way are transdermal delivery systems. So really API drug containing patches that deliver the API through the skin directly into the bloodstream without swallowing any tablet or something like that. And the other thin film technology is oral dissolvable films. So it's basically like small edible films containing a drug. And they can be used for basically also every kind of API and are used in generic, hybrid generic, which is very often used in the life cycle management for new products and of course also for innovative products. Why are we focusing on this technology for a long time at Vector Pharma within the BioNxt group is because of course there are some advantages. For the transdermal systems, one big advantage is that you can have a constant and non-invasive drug delivery through the skin, which is comparable basically to an intravenous continuous delivery. So that means the drug goes through the skin directly into your bloodstream. And by doing that, we are avoiding the so-called first pass effect, meaning that your tablet or your drug is not going through your stomach, through your liver, and it's potentially getting degraded or whatever. So this increases the bioavailability dramatically and can also lead to lowering the dose of the API that you need to take, and thereby, of course, also lowering the risk of any side effects. The same basically somehow applies to the oral thin film technology. Also here, we have the possibility of improved bioavailability, again, by not transdermal, but transmucosal uptake. So it's going through the mucosa in your oral cavity and also directly into the bloodstream, avoiding the passage through your stomach, liver, and so on. And the second thing in the oral thin film technology, which is a absolute benefit, is that's a patient-friendly dosage form, especially for children and the elderly and people that have, because of diseases, maybe problems in swallowing, bigger dosage forms like the conventional ones, like tablets or capsules. And of course, all that leads to, at the end, to an improved patient convenience and also compliance. What are we doing in the drug formulation? I would like to show you our pipeline, what we are working on. And I didn't mention that yet. We're not only working as BioNxt or Vector Pharma as part of the BioNxt group on own in-house products and projects. Of course, we do that. But we are also doing contract work, so contract development work, and also contract manufacturing of clinical samples. So we are holder of a manufacturing permit for clinical samples. So we can also provide clinical samples at any time in these dosage forms for all thin films and transdermal systems. At the moment, we have 4 big projects in the drug formulation. 2 are contract R&D projects with some partners from the pharmaceutical industry. One is a hybrid approach, so system which is basically already available as a tablet, but should be transferred into an oral thin film in a way of a life cycle management and maybe a generic plus, so improving bioavailability by that. And the other project we're doing as a contract, which is the third one in that list, is a completely generic product we're developing for our customer. One big project that we're doing in-house is the development of a generic rodicotin transdermal systems, which has the indication the treatment of Parkinson's disease. And we're also working on another oral thin film system in neurodegenerative indication. And as you can say from the timeline with all of them, 2023, this year is a very, very interesting year for us because all of these products were already with positive results, I can say, for 2 of the products in clinical trials, and the other are expected to be in clinical trials by this year. And we're very much optimistic that this will also work and give us 4 new products, or at least 2 own products and 2 excellent products for our customers. Our main target, what is given here, is that we would start with our products to approve and launch mainly in the European Union, and later on in Canada and the US on North American market. As you can see here, the global market of thin films overall, so oral films as well as transdermal systems, is about to expect about 30 billion by next year, and it's really constantly growing as well. The second pillar is the psychedelic medicine. Why we're working on that? Because I think we see a lot of opportunities here for psychedelics as a new API in especially neurotherapeutics, which is also shown especially for psilocybin, which is designated as a breakthrough therapy by the FDA for the treatment in depressive disorder diseases, and also shows potential for other let's say health-related in other health-related indications. Only the antidepressant market is also already a big market, being expected to be at $21 billion by 2030. What is our strategy in doing that? Because we are not having the capabilities of doing that API research in-house. We have exclusive agreements with 2 universities. One is in Canada, one is in Germany, for the industrial scale production or development, and then scale up and GMP production of mescaline and, as mentioned before, psilocybin. And on the side, we are also trying to work on derivatives of these molecules, so on analogs. Drug formulation, as I said before, this is why also Vector Pharma fits so well into this BioNxt construction, is that we want to have with the oral thin film technology a standardized formulation technology as a basis for these molecules to be delivered. And once we are there, we would like to go, of course, into the clinical evaluation, and not only of depression, but also of other treatments like addiction, anxiety, and so on. And finally, the third part that we are working on are diagnostic systems, but not regular diagnostic systems that are well known and that are on the market. It's a completely new system that we have here, or that 3A brought into the BioNxt group after the acquisition in 2019. It's the principle that we call Taste Your Health. It's was never done before, but the principle is, I think, absolutely fantastic, because we can use the human tongue as a detector. As you all know, I mean, the human tongue has the areas where you can detect different kinds of tastes, like sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami. And especially the bitter taste sensor is a very sensitive sensor in the human tongue. So we use that ability of the tongue to taste bitterness to detect certain diseases. So the idea behind that and how it works basically is that we are having our biosensor, which is nothing else but a biomolecule like a peptide or oligosugar, which is depicted in this small bubbles here, which is attached to a bitter tasting agent, which is non-toxic and nothing. So you take this oral film containing this biosensor, and in the presence of a potential pathogen that you would like to address, an enzymatic reaction, because this enzyme is overexpressed or present at all if you're having this disease in your oral cavity, it's cleaving that molecule, this biomolecule, which is, before that happens, not bitter at all, but once it's cut, it releases this bitter agent, and you can taste whether you have a disease or not, and maybe you should go and see your doctor or not. It's not only a highly interesting way of detecting or new way of diagnosing diseases. It's also very versatile. You have many advantages. Of course, you can use your tongue as a sensor. You don't need any lab equipment or anything. You can just indicate it by a bitter taste. It's easy and accessible. You just buy your oral thin film and directly use it. You don't need any healthcare professionals or nothing. It's very quick. So within a few minutes, you get your result. And of course, since you don't need anything else around that, it's also very cost effective. And this technology can be adapted to many pathogens. Of course, not to everything, but to quite a lot. And I can show that on the product strategy on the right-hand side. We have developed already ODF tests for general oral inflammation for an easy at-home self-check. That's in the same area, let's say, of oral health topic, an ODF for periodontitis and peri-implantitis for an early detection, especially if you have a dental implant. You can use that and very early phase see your dentist if you have a bitter taste sensation after using that film. But it's can not only be used for oral health issues, let's say, but also for viral infections. COVID-19, very prominent. Unfortunately, we were maybe a little bit late with that product. The pandemic is over, so we're not so much focusing anymore, but it actually also shows the versatility of that technology. You can design biosensors for influenza. We already did that as well. It just need to be transferred into the ODF platform. And we also started in a funded project to what we call pandemic management, to create ODFs or to sensors and then implement them into the ODF for H1N1 like swine flu or avian flu, and can be also adapted for whatever may come in the future as a pandemic. Of course, as I said, it won't work for every disease, but we see a very big potential on in this platform technology. Yeah, I just went through the different kinds of tests that we are having. Here you can see the pipeline where we are with these projects. We have these two, what I would call general oral inflammation or oral health sensors. For both of them, we are expecting to be in the market by end of next year, or end of this year, early next year. The influenza sensor is a bit more delicate. It will take a little bit longer, so it will be most probably like in 2 years. COVID-19 test would have been quicker, but as I said, we're not so much focusing on that anymore, and we started to focus more on our new project for swine or avian flu. And of course, the diagnostic market and also the rapid test market is a huge market with almost 100 billion expected for 2030. So it's definitely a highly interesting field, and it's a completely new technology which is not on the market yet, which makes it super exciting and super interesting to work with. And yeah, we are hoping to broaden our scope there as well, and also adapt this technology to other pathogens and other diseases in the future. Yeah, I already talked a little bit about the markets we are active in. It's in general the thin film drug product market, like the oral thin films and transdermal systems, generic products as well as hybrid generic products, innovator products, which are there, about 30 billion to be expected next year. The rapid diagnostics, which is a huge market, and also the API field with the psychedelic drugs is predicted to be in the range of 21 billion US dollars in 2030. Brief introduction on who we are. Of course, it's not everybody, that's just the managing part and the board of directors. We have Hugh Rogers as our CEO and director. He's also the managing director now of the Vector Pharma part. There's myself, I'm leading the operational part at Vector Pharma. We have Roland Spleiss, a very experienced business developer. And we have our board of directors comprising Per Thorsen, Professor Löwenberg, Peter Damuni, and Wolfgang Probst. Wolfgang is actually also the managing director of the 3A Diagnostics now, and Reimer is, together with you, managing director of the Vector Pharma part. Summarizing all what I presented now, I would like to pick some of the highlights that have, in business-wise, in the last years. There was quite some acquisition with Vector Pharma in 2019, and yeah, the diagnostic part with the 3A Diagnostics just 2 years ago. In the formulation development, at the moment, we are very much focusing on the transdermal rhodioglutine generic product, which is already very far in the clinical phase, and on various oral thin film projects besides the one with the biosensors, but also, of course, these are part of that. And as I said, for the diagnostic field, we are trying to expand our portfolio of potential biosensors to address even more kinds of diseases and pathogens, and try to push that biosensor technology forward, because, as I said before, it's a technology that didn't exist till date, comes out of a university project, and yeah, it's new, it's innovative, and it's, from my point of view, an absolutely great idea and possibility to screen bigger populations, or make your health tests yourself at home if you're not sure if you have one or the other disease. So I think this is something that will have a great future. For the psychedelic drug development, as I said it before, we have development agreements with the German as well as Canadian university for industrial scale production of mescaline as well as psilocybin. And once that is, the first lab experiments were very successful. So now we're on the way to the scale up in that field. But yeah, the one is a synthetic way for the mescaline. The other one is a biotechnological production for psilocybin. And yeah, of course, we are financing many of our projects ourselves or with our investors. But of course, we also, as a very innovative company, and having 3A, for example, let's say a former startup within our group now, we are also dependent very much on public funding, where we are very successful in getting grants for our projects. And yeah, there I would also like to thank the German Federal Ministry for Education and Research for supporting our research so well, and in the last years. And yeah, finally, I would like to thank you for your attention, and yeah, happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Florian, for this great presentation. We know a lot more now, obviously, about BioNxt and what they're doing. More than that, actually, what we do understand from that is that you guys are proposing a very, very different solution into some delivery drugs and so on. So Before we get into Q&A, please, everyone, just a reminder, please write any question in the Q&A box or into the chat box, and I'll be happy to ask the question to Florian. So we have a few questions. What are and maybe you obviously partially answered that, but still, what are the potential benefits of the novel oral drug coating technology that BioNxt has acquired, and how will it complement the company's existing drug delivery platforms?
Yeah, actually, that is a part that was not described in the presentation with the new enteric coating formulation. That is basically something where we are trying to also step into a new field. I didn't put it into the presentation because it's would be a bit too much at the end, and it's at the very beginning. That will not affect the ODF production. This is really a coating technology that is designated for tablets, and opens will be the first step for a new technology field. So maybe the fourth pillar is about to be established by also going into the other oral dosage forms besides oral thin films.
Okay. Can you provide more details about the comparative human bioavailability pilot study that BioNxt is planning to carry out in North America, and what are the expected timelines for the study?
Sorry, say again, for which study?
Comparative human bioavailability.
Yeah, so actually there are many. I think maybe this question addresses the rotigotine bioequivalence study. This is what I think. Yeah. The bioequivalence study is so the samples are prepared and are about to be shipped to our CRO for the testing, which will take place within the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then I mean, we are very optimistic that it will work, and within the next 4 to 6 weeks we will start that. So I think in 2 months we will have a press release on that stating the outcome, but we are very optimistic here.
Great. And lastly, maybe if you can give a little more details about the money you received from the German government.
Sure. What we got from different kinds of programs is we are still in a BMBF project, so from the Ministry of Health and Education Search. We are getting quite some support from the state in SME programs like SIM in Germany, as well as the KMU Innovative, and we are getting that for different kinds of projects. It's really from the biosensor project with a more BMBF related to other thin film projects we are working on, where we get this KMU Innovative and SIM support from the state. At the moment, we are applying for a new delivery form as well, for a new grant, and yeah, I hope that comes out positive as well. But we're in a very early phase for that. Will be also a new delivery system. Yeah. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you very much about that at the moment.
It's all good. One way or the other, we came anyways at 7:30 to the conclusion of it, so we cannot hear more about it. Even if you could, that would be the end. So that's okay. So Florian, thank you very much for the presentation. BioNxt, I invite everyone who enjoyed the presentation, like the concept, like those transdermal skin patches and so on, all of those products that they have. You saw that triangle, psychedelic, and so on going on together. Go on the website, get more information, reach out to the management. They're going to be happy to take your question. And until the next presentation, Florian, thank you very much and have a good time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.